So, I had this come across my nose yesterday. One of my subscribers, somebody who actually refers to me a lot of things that I wind up doing videos about. So there you go. There's one person out there who's kind of driving a lot of this content. I mean, I'm the other person, but whatever. Anyways. But yeah. So, she sent me this, and I was like, oh, I've been waiting for this. Without further ado, this.
So a few months ago, Jim Jefferies' producer contacted me and asked me to come on as a guest to his show.
Now, a brief history of me and Jim Jefferies. I saw Jim Jefferies, one of his specials. I don't remember which one. I think it was like his first HBO special or something like that. Maybe his second one. I'm not entirely sure. And then I got a hold of Holocaust when that came out. Man, I love that fucking guy. I love him. I watched Legit and everything, and that was a terrible show. Sorry, it was. But yeah, like, I love the guy. He could do no wrong for me. Even though it was a terrible show, I still love it because he's hysterical in it. Right? And then Donald Trump gets elected. And I'm seeing him on Bill Maher and shit, and I'm like, oh my god, what happened? And then I'm seeing him on fucking his own show, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? And then I remembered that I had a whole lot of knowledge about Jim Jefferies. Because my love for Jim Jefferies went deeper than just his specials and his show. I would listen to him a lot on Opie and Anthony. I love Opie and Anthony. And I would record entire shows that I thought were funny or that were good, like old shows that I loved, things like that. And I put them on my Walkman, my MP3 player. It is not a cassette player, but it is a Walkman. Put it on my Walkman, and I would just listen to them for 8 hours a day, every day at work, all day long, over and over and over and over and over again. It was what got me through years of working for my last job before the last job. The job I quit briefly before most of you met me. That job. Fucking working there all day long. All I would do, pack boxes with rolls of shit, and then I would fucking listen to Opie and Anthony all day long. And a lot of that was Jim Jefferies, because I love Jim. So I know a lot about Jim Jefferies, because when you're on radio and you've got to fill hours, 2, 3, 4 hours, however long he's just on the show. Sometimes he would just be on the show for the day. He'd fill in for Jimmy or something like that, and he'd be on the show the whole day. And I would listen to the whole show. And when you got to do that for a week, you know, or when you wind up on the show, a show like that, that's a continuum, that if you didn't listen to yesterday's show, you missed out on all of this stuff. You know, if you weren't into it like that. It wasn't like he would just come on and do his fucking bits. No, he would have to come on and be a part of the show, and they would talk about everything. So I heard Jim Jefferies talk about a whole lot of stuff. And I was very surprised when Jim went the direction that he did. I was very surprised. And I thought to myself, oh, Jim, this is not going to go well for you. Because I'm not a stupid person. And I can see the writing on the wall. And way back then, leftists were starting to eat each other. And I'm like, oh, dude. Because he's so tainted. He's like Bob Saget, really, at this point. You see Bob Saget on Full House, And then you watch Bob Saget stand up, and then you look at Full House again and go, like, search Bob Saget tells the Aristocrats joke. And then watch an episode of Full House. It will be the funniest thing you ever do in your life. But yeah, Bob Saget's he's a great comedian. Love him to death. He's fucking hysterical. And he's very blue. And then you see him on Full House and you're like, what the fuck? Like, Howie Mandel's another one. Howie used to do a lot of kind of raunchy stuff. And he doesn't really get political. And neither does Bob. And I wonder fucking why. Probably because they're intelligent. And they know that if they even think about stepping into the political arena, somebody's going to be like, aren't you the guy that said this? And they're going to have to go, well, as their world implodes. Jim, however, did not consider this to be a thing. So he jumped in both feet, fuck it. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to be bad. And then when I was on my meteoric rise to 2,500 subscribers, 2,734 legacy, when I was on that meteoric rise for the months that was happening, because it was like 2 months that was happening, shortly thereafter, I got followed on Twitter by a guy who in his little description thing says that he was a writer for Jim Jefferies' show. And I was like, because I know how the business works. Find the comedians that are telling funny jokes. I mean, this is going to sound like an egotistical way to say it, but hold on. You find the smaller comedians that nobody knows that are telling the funny jokes, and then you kind of rework their material and, you know, make it into a more coherent joke and a full bit when you're writing for a show, right? And these guys have to come up with shit every fucking week. That's tough. So I don't begrudge anybody their hustle as long as they're honest about their hustle, right? And this dude never sent me a DM or anything like that, never said anything. As far as I know, he's never tweeted at me, or he's never liked or mentioned or retweeted anything that I've ever tweeted or anything like that. I've had no interaction with the guy other than he follows me and I follow him. And I don't even remember what the fuck his name is. All I remembered was that was a thing. So I don't even know. I don't even know if he still follows me. I haven't a fucking clue. Right? So I have no way to validate this. You can take me at my word if you will. But nevertheless, that is also a thing. So I'm kind of like, you know, I'm looking at this now going, I expected this. And boy, was I not disappointed.
Now, I agreed with two conditions. One, there'll be no neo-Nazi or Nazi sympathizers on the same segment because I don't want to be aligned to them and I don't want to give them any legitimacy or anything like that. Common sense.
And honestly, that is something that I've been thinking about lately. At one point, it was very popular to platform the self-proclaimed white nationalists and the Nazis and whatnot in order to debate them and therefore to disprove them and have it be an open thing and everybody can watch it. Hurrah. Right? And at the time, I was kind of like, yeah, you know, whatever. But, like, my whole thing is that I don't care what they say. They can say whatever they want to say. I encourage them to say their beliefs. And I encourage them to say them loud and proud in all situations. So that everybody can know who they are. So that we can listen to what they have to say and go, yeah, no. And then move on with life. And then they can just keep saying what they're going to say, but whatever. Like, who cares? If you're not smart enough to see how dumb that shit is, you know, someday you'll grow up. I don't know. Like, that's kind of like the prevailing belief. But now I'm kind of like, I'm fine with that. I'm fine absolutely with them doing that. And I would be more than happy to talk to anyone. Don't even care. Like, I don't care. I would be more than happy to talk to anybody about any topic. Doesn't matter to me. Right? But not on my channel always. Like some people, I'm more than happy to have Valeda on my channel. I'll talk with Valeda about anything, because I don't think that Valeda is somebody that I'm going to wind up having a bad interview with. I think that if I was interviewing Richard Spencer, it would devolve into a bad interview, like quite quickly. Because I would just not be humored by it. I wouldn't think it was funny. And I would just drill that motherfucker on everything he thinks. And at some point it would just bore me. And I would probably start playing Marvel Puzzle Quest on my phone just absent-mindedly. Because I would need something else to pay attention to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it would just devolve very quickly, because I just don't agree with it, and I think it's so obvious, and it's going to be so easy for me. I'm sorry, you're done? Oh, alright, well, what was kind of the gist of all that shit you just said? Because I'll be honest, I wasn't paying attention. Just give me the gist. You don't like black people. Okay, that's dumb. Like, what? I don't know. It seems like such a simplistic thing to me. It would annoy me to have to explain it. But I'd be more than happy to explain it. It's just dumb. Why? Because they're black. Okay. Well, that's not a good reason. Because they're people like everybody else. There has to be a tangible reason why. Because they have different... What about really tan people? What about really tan white people? What about slightly brown people? What about olive-skinned people? Like, what? Does it really matter? Are Asians close enough to white? What about white Mexicans? Is there a national thing to it too? Like, man, it's just be so stupid. Because it's just a dumb belief structure. Why limit your interaction with people on this earth? Like, I have yet to have a good solid racist give me a good solid answer to why limit your interactions with people on this earth. So there you go. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's just a dumb idea on the face of it, and I don't understand how people don't get it. But yeah, I'd be more than happy to talk to them on their channels, but not here, because I don't want that to be a thing where people are going to point to that and go, you helped spread the message. Like, because that just occludes the issue. And it's one of those things that kind of taints you a little bit. So I understand where he's coming from with this, not wanting to be in a segment with people that call themselves Nazis and white supremacists and whatnot. I get it. I do. I wouldn't want that either.
The second one was that they don't cut my answers from one question and put it to another.
Dirty editing, I like to call it. Deceptive editing is what it actually is. When you take somebody and chop them up. It got me in trouble once, my hatred of deceptive editing. It put me on what I believe is the wrong side of a sensitive issue. I was not paying attention to the issue. I was paying attention to the side. And that was not the correct way to do it. And I had to apologize for that. And what stung the most to me was the reaction I got from the audience. Rereading the comments after I had come to a better understanding and had gotten more perspective on the issue. Reading the comments again, I was like, oh, this is so bad. Because there were people that were in there where they were like, yeah, you really convinced me. And I'm like, oh, man. So, you know, that sucks to have to go through that. It really blows. And it makes you never want to be wrong again. And I am still sometimes. That's just because that's life. And, you know, I own up to it when I'm wrong. I try to, at least. I may be wrong on things that I haven't found out I'm wrong on yet. And there will come a reckoning someday. Because nobody gets away with anything.
Now, to my horror, but not my surprise, they did exactly both. Both those things. But they went even further. They connected me to the Christchurch killer, to the terrorist.
And see, that's like the idea of that is horrifying to me. It's one of those things that keeps me small. You know what I mean? That doesn't make me really reach for the stars. That doesn't really make me start, you know, getting into people who are like, hey, we're a service that helps people get big. You want us to help you get big? And I'm like, nah, I'm fine where I'm at. Like, because I'm fine where I'm at. The idea that somebody would ever connect me with somebody like that, seriously, just, ugh. Like, I can't imagine being PewDiePie and Candace Owens. Just to be mentioned to me. Say what you want to about their place in all of it or whatever. Just to be mentioned to me.
The New Zealand shooter left behind a detailed record of his anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim rhetoric. And unfortunately, these days, this kind of intolerance is being tolerated in more places than you might think.
So it's important to remember that this was filmed a few months ago, and not in response to the Christchurch massacre, as they seem to be alluding here.
That's really fucked up. I don't know what the validity of that is, but I'm willing to believe the guy. Because I know that that's sometimes what they do. They'll film a segment, you know, thinking, we'll can this segment, and sometimes something will happen that this will become relevant, and then we'll talk about it. Right? You know what I mean? And if that's true, that they filmed this shit months ago, and he's pulling this in for this? Oh my God.
I was shocked to hear that the prick allegedly behind the Christchurch, New Zealand mass shootings is a white supremacist who grew up and was radicalised in Australia. So what is the situation down there? And what are the people who may have radicalised him saying?
White people like myself feel happy and safe around my culture, my people.
Sherman's a Nazi. You broke Rule 1 in 20 seconds.
No, I mean, I don't know this Sherman guy. I don't even know this fucking guy. So, whatever. Apparently this guy's got a whole lot of drama going on with him too. I don't fucking know about it. All I'm talking about Jefferies. So, if you come at me with this fucking guy's whatever, I don't care, because I'm talking about Jim Jefferies. This guy's exposing Jim Jefferies. This guy, as far as I'm concerned, is inconsequential. He could be any fucking buddy. This is about Jim. Let's please keep it on topic.
And this anti-immigration fervour is uniting some strange groups. It turns out that the one thing that can bring together the alt-right and a Jew is their shared hatred of Muslims.
Now see, that's really fucked up. The one thing that can unite the alt-right, who he's just connected with the murderer, quite obviously, because they're the white supremacists and shit. The alt-right, the Jews, their hatred of Muslims. And then he talks to this, I'm guessing, fairly Orthodox Jewish guy. I mean, that's that's pretty fucking blatant. That's awfully fucking blatant. That's very fucked up.
Meet Jewish activist Avi Yemini, a good Australian name.
And like, what is that? What is that? Digging on his name because it's very Jewish? Like, do you even realize what you're saying?
Luckily, I'm not an idiot, and I knew what their plan was all along. Well, they flew me to Singapore, put me in a hotel.
Wait a minute. Singapore? What the fuck were they shooting in Singapore for?
For a couple of days there.
Wait, no, what the fuck were you doing? Why did they fly you to Singapore? Does Jim hang out in Singapore? Like, what the fuck?
What was I to expect? It was a setup. So what I did was, I got there and I secretly put my phones down to record the entire segment.
See, honestly, that would be my caveat to an interview. I get to have my own recording. I get to bring my own camera that will be with me at all times. And I will get to make my own recording. And I'll have my camera off to the side somewhere. I'm not going to fucking have it in the shot. You know, I'm going to fuck up the thing. But I want to have a recording of everything that is said through the entirety of it. That would be my thing. Fuck the don't put me in with whatever Nazis and whatnot and all that other shit. I think that'll be pretty much a given when I have my own recording of the fucking thing. Fully uncut and unedited. I'll sign any sort of non-disclosure agreements. I will never release any even snippet of the footage until you have released it in your segment. I will not agree to in full, because I do not expect you to release it in full. So that's never going to happen. Now, when you release it in your segment that you air, at that point I can then publish the whole thing if I wish. Anybody that has the balls to agree to that, I will let interview me. Nobody else.
Now over the next few days I'm going to release a bunch of little clips that are important that he specifically didn't add to the piece. We filmed for about an hour. And there's about 3 or 4 minutes where he's included little snippets. So in the next few days I'm going to release little bits that are important that I think everyone needs to see.
Oh, and he has released an entire little bit. And yes, we will watch it.
But if you're on my Patreon, you can see the entire hour. I'll upload it within the next week.
Now look, I will never begrudge somebody their hustle unless they are trying to cover up the fact they're hustling. That is not what I see here. Good on you, buddy. Do your thing.
Islamic immigration, cut it.
Now, what makes Avi suddenly feel so comfortable saying this shit out loud?
I always stand by my words, and I say it publicly, loudly, and proudly. I won't say in private something different than what I'll say in public.
Fair enough. Very respectable.
And if I get it wrong, which I have at times, and I feel necessary to apologise, I have done it, and I will do it.
Fair enough. Very respectable. And hopefully your entire body of work backs those statements up. Because they will come after you too.
I might sound like a hippie saying this. What gives anyone the right to tell anyone where they can and can't live?
When you import this culture, what do you think is going to happen? Australia's going to end up the same shithole that they came from, that they were escaping.
Watch how Jim Jefferies has edited this last clip to make me look like an ass. See what I really said.
What gives anyone the right to tell anyone where they can and can't live? Really? Like,
Borders,
I know borders, yeah. But wouldn't it just be nice if we got to a place in society where we had a utopia, where we all just lived as
on a level I agree.
You may say I'm a dreamer. But
I think most people, sensible people would agree with you in theory.
Yeah.
But in practice, it's not. It goes against human nature. It just doesn't work.
Now, I partially agree with him. I agree with the it doesn't work. I disagree with the it's human nature. I don't think it's a human nature to separate into tribes. I think that has been our human nature, but I think that we can develop beyond that. I'm not saying that we already have. I'm just saying, I think it's possible. We can develop beyond that. It is a thing that can happen. We do not need to live in tribes. It just isn't necessary. But we do. And I think one of the reasons why we do is it's the easiest way to say the thing that everybody in developed nations just doesn't kind of want to say. And what it is if all of the poor people from all over the world came to America, then America all of a sudden would have a very, very bad rash of homelessness. We would have a shit ton of homeless people. We would become the homeless nation. And if we then tried to subsidize all that homelessness, we would literally be the homeless nation, because there's no possible way that we, even as the wealthiest nation in the world, there's no fucking way we can just pay everybody's bills. It's never gonna happen. And so all those poor people are gonna go to the next most wealthy nation and destroy it. And then it spreads. That's what we're trying to keep from happening. We can't take everybody. We can take in an amount of people. Yes, fantastic. That's why we have legal ways in which to emigrate. But if we start saying that it's okay for everybody to just come here, guess what? We become the beggar nation. And then we go tits up. We can't do it. It's impossible. The data is in. It's an economic thing at this point. It doesn't have to be a human nature thing. We can evolve beyond that.
You bloody scumbag, Jim. You see those rubbish edits through the entire segment, I don't even need to show you. You get my point. They put one answer to a different question. But today what I really want to show you is how Jim Jefferies speaks about Islam, about their Prophet Muhammad, and about Muslims themselves when he thinks the cameras aren't rolling, or when he knows he can cut it out.
Alright, now I'm going to break here, and you can say about me what you wish for this. But I have had occasion recently to, I guess, earn an amount of Saudi Arabian subscribers. Some of these people are very devout in their faith. And I'm stopping here to go, man, this is it. So be ready, because this could be a thing for you. And I need you to breathe and relax and just be like, the funny man is an asshole. And just let it die. Because he's gonna get his. Believe me.
So Muhammad is considered the perfect man.
Right, yes.
Okay?
You can't draw a picture of it.
No, don't you dare. Don't you dare. I've got enough death threats on me, brother.
There he is.
Jesus Christ.
There he is. He looks like a wobbly ghost.
He's finally going to understand Islam after this shit comes out.
Yeah. That could go really badly.
That's what you do, Jimmy, when you think no one's going to see it. Now, I don't actually have a problem if you draw Muhammad, to be honest. That's me. But people like you call me an Islamophobe because that riles up, that upsets, that, in your words, triggers the Muslim into violence.
Now, Pete, me personally, myself, man, I don't care, dude. Art is art. I think you can make art out of anything. And as long as you're relatively respectful, then I think that that is fun. And if you are going to be disrespectful, then you're going to deal with the ramifications of your actions. And I think all those people should then have to deal with the ramifications of their actions. Like, nobody should get a pass because, well, he offended me because it's my God. Like, come on, man. Not a good enough reason to attack somebody. Because somebody says a dirty word to you. Not a good enough reason to attack somebody. You could tell him off. Tell him he's a motherfucker. I would even be fine with you getting up in his face and maybe kind of scaring him a little bit. But as soon as you swing, you're now the asshole. So, there's that. But, I mean, as far as I don't care that people fuck around with Jesus, make fun of Jesus. I thought Jesus on South Park was great. You know, like that kind of shit. I love those people because that is what Jesus would want me to do, is love the people that he...
Now I wonder when this goes far and wide, and help it, share it around, let the world see. I want to see if the leftists condemn Jim.
Oh, they will! Man, they were eating each other long before this shit, and they're going to be doing it long after they've feasted on Jim Jefferies. Believe me, when this finally hits the news, the national news, oh, this is going to be a thing.
And even more so, what I'm interested to see is the people that he is hell-bent on protecting, the people that he is fighting so hard to let into Australia and the US. Let's see how they react when they see him mock their prophet. You know what the punishment for blasphemy is, Jim?
I believe it's death. And like, I mean, I'm not talking about, again, hashtag not all. Not all Muslims are going to freak out and want to kill Jim Jefferies. But there are Muslims in the world that are going to freak out and want to kill Jim Jefferies. So, like, it's a consideration. There are going to be white leftists that are going to want to freak out and kill Jim Jefferies. There's going to be right-wing lunatics that are going to want to freak out and kill Jim Jefferies. We'll make sure that all the major faiths are represented. So long as we can make sure that everybody is represented, including people we're talking about. Some are going to be very fucking upset. I think that just needs to be acknowledged. I don't think it's racist.
I wish you luck, brother. But it gets worse. Watch what he says when the cameras aren't rolling.
I'm not a big fan of Islam. I think that wearing a burqa is stupid and demeaning and all these things.
Now, I will make a point here. That is where that clip ends. It sounded like there was going to be a butt. The butt has been removed. This clip has no ass. This is kind of dirty. Nevertheless, he is saying the words that are leading up to the butt. So after hearing the words leading up to the butt, how much of the butt do you buy? The butt is kind of where the statement turns into lies. Isn't it?
Islam or dingo?
Islam and dingo sneaky?
Yeah.
Probably both.
Probably both. Dangerous?
Probably both.
Probably both.
The dingo ate the baby. It turned out it did eat the baby.
If it ate a bloody Muslim baby, it would have vomited.
No, I don't actually
that's
agree
not
with
that
that.
shit, isn't it? I'm only joking.
Now, before I can continue and finally critique this clip in its entirety, I want to at least attempt to maybe alleviate some of the sting of the statement, maybe kind of make it funny. This is how I cope with shit. Try it. I don't know. Just listen to the bomb. Jim's a comedian, and he throws this out there. the whole time knowing that it's gonna fucking bomb. But he's throwing it out there thinking, if this dude loses his shit and thinks it's hysterical, boy, isn't that a clip, right? So he throws this out there trying to be funny, and like, it was just a shit line, and it died, and he even went, eh? Oh, it was just so bad. Like, it's so cringe. Listen to it again, man. Just listen to the bomb.
If it ain't a bloody Muslim baby, it would have vomited.
I don't actually agree with that
shit. I'm only joking.
Oh, just... Oh, eating his balls.
But that's not funny. You're talking about fucking killing kids.
No, it's not
that's
funny.
crossing a line. There's a fucking line.
We'll edit this bit out. I never look bad in these interviews.
He's right.
Oh, man. That's just bad. Dude, I would be furious pissed if somebody said that to me in the interview. Like, I know when they do that in interviews on comic shows, and they play that shit, and it's funny, but if somebody said that to me in the interview, I would be like, alright, we're done here. Like, man, that'd be fucking it. I'd be like, wow, I'm out. Alright. Again, I gotta be able to record it myself. Sorry.
Jim never looks bad in his own segments. He edits it perfectly. And 9 out of 10 times he wins. He makes people like me look bad. Like Jordan Peterson look bad. But today, I got you, brother.
Yeah, you fairly well got him. Like, you say what you want to about his kind of dirty editing with this. He's pulling snippets, but he's pulling snippets to tease, come to my Patreon and pay to see the rest. At least he's posting the rest, provided he's posting the full unedited video. Which, so, I don't know, I'm not paying for it. I don't care that much. Sooner or later somebody will post it, or he'll post it, or whatever. And whatever. And then be able to see it and check it for context. But, I mean, that last one I got what was going on. They're playing, does this random word apply to a Muslim or a dingo? And then he makes that joke. That was his poo baby's moment, I think. But yeah, chopped up video, little snippet video, whatever you want to say. He's saying the words.
How's it feel? So that's all I'm saying to you is that...
We don't disagree on all...
Nah, mate. We don't agree. I never, ever, ever even joke about killing Muslims.
No, that's a little fucked up right there. He throws in a very short clip where he says we don't disagree on a lot, with absolutely no context. I mean, what is he saying that in reference to? What point were you making? Clearly you were talking. What point was he trying to make by saying that? These are important things. But then you go ahead and make the point of, I never joke about killing Muslims. And that may be, and that's fair enough. But nevertheless, to link those two things in the way that you did, that's coming off pretty manipulative to me. Take it for what it is. That's my opinion.
So I'm going to ask you all at home. Make sure to share this far and wide. Share it with everyone. Because Jim works with the establishment. He has the mainstream media. He has the platform. He has the numbers. But I have you.
Yeah! Pick your side, man. I don't know. Like, honestly, I'm starting to get tired of the, like, plea to... I get it. The plea to support. I get it. This is fucked up. People should know. Not because Jim Jefferies is important, but because Jim Jefferies is a person that has a politically themed fucking television show. So, I think this is kind of important if he's doing this kind of shit. But I'm starting to get really sketched out with the culture war. All of the culture warriors are beginning to annoy me, and you can blame it on Waz all you want. But yeah, the whole culture war is starting to annoy me. So, like, this whole thing, you know, he's got all the media and all the money in the world, but I got you, man. Like, that's starting to just sound stupid to me. So, whatever. Again, you can take that for what you want. That's my fucking opinion. But he released more little snippets, and here they are.
I think your hat is a little dumb. Your hat is a little dumb. Dumb.
I believe he's referring to his yarmulke. So, you know, that's a thing that he said. Now, that's a thing he said. Again, no context. So,
You want to know the truth? And I'm speaking on behalf of most of Australia now. How long have you been in America?
10 years.
You want to talk about immigration? You want to talk about immigration? I think the first policy that Pete Dutton should do is cancel your Australian passport. Because you used to be Australian.
I'm still Australian.
No, you're fucking not. You used to be Australian. You used to be Australian, and every Aussie loved you.
now see, I get where he's coming from here. I can understand the sting of having an actor or a comedian or whatever, and you really like them, you really support them, you go see all their movies, you go to their shows, you buy their videos, whatever, you really think they're awesome, and then they get scooped up, and then they ship themselves off to America, and it's kind of like, all you people that helped me get here, I'm here, bye. You know, and so it's like, I can understand the sting of that. I get it. And I can see him sitting in front of Jim Jefferies, clearly a fan or an ex-fan or whatever you want to say. I'm probably an ex-fan now. But, you know, I would say that clearly he was a fan at one point. And this is him being able to actually sit in front of the man and vent his frustration. So I get it. I get it.
The Emmys were last night. You might notice I seem a little hungover today. That's from drinking at home and yelling at my TV because I wasn't invited. Burn it all! Burn it!
Now I will say this. This is a theme, not only in Jim's actual stand-up specials, but this was also a theme that he had talked about and gone pretty far in depth with on Opie and Anthony. His desire to be rich and famous. He really, really, really wants to be rich and famous. He loves the life. And I believe that Jim turned to the dark side. And I believe this because I know what the dark side is. It's quicker. It's faster to power. Darker. More seductive. And he took the quick, dark, seductive route and became a propagandist for the culture war. He just became a war propagandist. Really, just when it comes down to it, he just wants everybody fucking at each other's shit. He wants to fuel one side by enraging the other one. So, like, that's kind of how it is all coming off to me now. Like, all of it, across the board. Everybody's starting to come off to me that way. I'm starting to notice people coming up in the news for things, and I'm like, that's why I never watched you. So, you know, but I did watch a lot of Jim back in the day. So, yeah, that's a thing. That doesn't surprise me.
Why do you want to hang out with them? Why do you want to be part of that little game?
Why do I want to be part
I feel
of
like
it?
the interview's changed.
No, I'm interested in it. Why do I want to be part of the Hollywood gang? So hanging out with all the
You still
beautiful...
hear me? I don't know what I'm doing.
No, you know, hanging out with all the beautiful people in the Hollywood Hills, it's fucking horrible. Why would anyone want to do that?
Okay, oh, there we go. All right, listen, you've explained it.
A bit of money.
All right, I'm with you. I'll sell my soul to it.
You think I've sold my soul?
100%.
Now, see, I don't think that Jim has 100% sold his soul. I believe he's sold a portion. But the question remains, how much of your soul do you have to sell before you're damned? You know, like, come on. That's a decent question to ask.
When was I not political? I did
In
my
the
whole...
beginning, your stand-up was
I was
not...
25 years old. All I cared about was fucking and drugs.
You were much funnier then.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it. All right, fair enough. That's an opinion.
Wow. And that, I firmly believe that actually hit a little bit. If you look at the way Jim kind of laughs uncomfortably and then goes, yeah, okay. And then he starts looking at the fucking clipboard, fucking with the pen. That one cut a bit deep. That cut really fucking deep, I think. So.
You're free.
No, it's a fact.
Oh, God, now you're just getting mean.
Yeah. Like that.
You come to the show tonight. I don't talk about politics at all in my stand-up.
No, you're fly.
Not at all. Not at all.
Tonight,
I don't mention politics once. Not
Donald
once.
Trump?
No, not once. Not once in my stand-up. Not once. Not once. My last special. Not once.
Would you like to know why? Why on God's green earth is he going to go out and do stand-up wherein he essentially does his show on TV? People have already heard all those jokes. They can watch your TV show at home. If all you do is go out and do your TV show, nobody's going to come see you live. You don't do your TV show out on the road? No shit. That sounds like smart business. What is that? You need a fucking cookie?
You should go back to doing that. You'll get
I
popular.
actually did once in the last special, yeah. I did the pussy grabbing joke. Dumb.
Yeah, because the pussy grabbing joke was fucking hysterical. So why wouldn't you go and do that? That's a big bit. But you're not going to do everything fucking political. No shit. Congratulations. But this all made me nostalgic. And I wanted to watch some old Jim Jefferies. So I looked at some more recent old Jim Jefferies. Before Donald Trump was president, but when Jim had got his sights on Donald Trump. And I would like to play for you a small excerpt. Not to prove any point, but just to quote the man.
Right, now think about your own personal life. Think about a person who hates you and you hate them. From now on, just show that person nothing but love. Now, I'm not saying for a second that person will start loving you. They'll probably still fucking hate you. But one thing will happen. Eventually, everyone will see them as the asshole. Don't be the asshole, America. Don't be the asshole.